right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's me, Kevin Lee. Welcome to Live with Kevin Lee. And today we have an extra special guest for our community, and I want to share her with you. This is Miss Shanda Trofe. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, you're welcome. And I just wanted to do a little bit of bragging on you. And so I just want to basically just share a little bit about your background with our people. And basically, I want to know, especially for our viewers today, how many of you desire to teach? How many of you want to be speakers? How many of you want to create a business, especially with your message, right? Many of us have a book I think a book seed in our soul. And I know I've given that message to so many people, my clients, my callers. Spirit often is constantly trying to get us to take our message, our life story, and put it down in paper, a journal of some sort. And I think we're going to get some good advice today. And I think you all will definitely, you're going to water that seed today, because we're going to dive deep into the concept of what's it like to be a book writing coach, or what's it like to publish a book? What's it like to be a best-selling author, or even to bring forward something that's very dear, maybe even a little dark in your heart, but we need to get it out so we can do the healing. And we can use that in a way that will help others. So our pain becomes the blessing to help other people. And that's why a book that's perfectly orchestrated and formatted, marketed, and all that jazz, it will definitely have an impact. It leaves a legacy on the planet. Your message can leave a legacy. And literally you can touch the hearts and souls of tens of thousands of people, if not more. It needs to be written right. And that's where our special guest today, Shanda Trofe, is an expert, a professional, definitely at doing this. And she is the CEO of Transcendent Publishing. She's an acclaimed publisher of over 300 #1 best-selling books on the market today. She's a well-known business and author coach. She's served thousands of first-time authors and repeat authors in her business. Since about 2012, I noticed that you've been helping a lot of authors reach their self-publishing goals, and through her various online courses and coaching programs, she's actually been teaching people how to write a book, how to publish a book, how to market the book. She's got systems and strategies in place that makes this, takes these potentials and makes it possible. And that's what you really need. You've got to have somebody who's in the trenches, day in, day out, knows how it works, because Lord knows I didn't in my previous book that is on a shelf still. And I just appreciate you for coming and being a part of our community and sharing your expertise today. So welcome, Ms. Shanda.
Thank you. Thank you again for having me.
Absolutely, very much so. So I wanted to just kind of do a little bit of digging into your business and what you offer people, and maybe what's coming up in your life soon, events, programs, things like that. Now, you live in Florida, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Good. Florida in the house? Love it. That's a beautiful. How long have you been in Florida?
Well, on and off since I was 18. So date myself.
So 3 years, right?
Yes, about 3 years.
Don't we wish?
A good amount of time down in your area, a little north of you in the Palm Beach area, maybe 9 or 10 years. And then I've been over here for 12 or 13 years. So
marvelous. Marvelous. Well, it's definitely, it's interesting, the energies, the vibe of life on the West Coast versus the East Coast. I'm over here on the Miami side, Palm Beach side, which is high energy, crazy drivers, lots of traffic, lots of business. You go to the West Coast for the sunsets, the sangria and the sailboat rides and the dolphin trips. It's definitely it's a nice, relaxing life. You got a good life over there.
I enjoy it.
Now, I mentioned, we spoke earlier and you mentioned you have dogs. What kind of dogs do you have?
I have 2 dachshunds.
Oh, beautiful.
And they are locked up. And so if you hear them, they're
probably spirit guides, right?
Yes.
I love it. And so a little bird told me you might even have chickens. Is that true?
Yes. I actually have 8 chickens because chicken math is real.
That's funny you say that. I was just thinking, wow, she didn't realize, but 8 is actually a really good number.
Yeah, you know what? I never thought about that. It is a good number.
8 is a number of abundance and success. And even when I do my readings, I always tell my clients that number 8 reminds me of 2 circles, one on top of the other, like as above, so below. We're in human form, but we're still spirit also. And I said, but sometimes that energy will turn on its side like a bicycle, those two wheels side by side. We can work hard and pedal, and it seems like we just can't get anywhere. And it's almost like that swan effect. You know, she's graceful on the surface of the water, but under the water, she's paddling like crazy.
Yes.
And so it's an interesting number. I love that number 8. Well, now you have a best-selling book out called Authorpreneur, correct?
Yes. Well, it's been out since 2016, but yes.
And so tell us about that book. Why did that book come forward?
Well, the reason why I wrote that book is really for my clients, because what I was finding is I was working with so many aspiring authors who wanted to write a book and get their message out in the world. So I would help them get it out there and get their book published and write and publish a high quality book. But then many of them didn't know what to do to market their book after publication. And it really needs to begin like the moment you decide you want to write a book. That's when we need to start putting those things in place, such as our author platform, so that we have a warm audience to market our book to once it's ready for publication and once we're ready to launch it to the world. So I wrote the book really for my clients and my students to teach them not only how to build their author platform, but then how they can also build a business, build a business based on the message of their book and make their message their life's work by adding online courses or coaching programs or becoming a speaker so they can really get their message out there on a larger scale.
Fantastic. Wow. No, definitely. I can see how a book like that would be useful because even in I'd say my own ministry of the last probably 13 years, what I've noticed was there were so many people that you could tell they were called by spirit. You could tell a higher power was really putting the squeeze on them, if you will, to go make your life better, go serve, go find your potential, your purpose. But so often, you could tell people had the calling, but they didn't have the system, or they didn't have the steps, they didn't have the coach, if you will, to hold their hand, to guide them through the right doors, and to teach from a perspective of life experiences, good and bad, so the students can learn. And I think it's so needed, this concept of a spiritual business, teaching and coaching, and not just focusing on the logical part of our life, but also the higher part of our life, the consciousness, the spirit world. And so I love that the terminology of mind, body, spirit, coaching programs that operate from those 3 levels. We have a body that could also be related physically to our business. We have the mind principle was all of our knowledge, our experiences, how we judge ourselves, how we love ourselves, and then also taking it to the next level, which is I have a higher self, I have a soul, my consciousness continues after this body is no longer here. So what can we do to work on that to begin expanding our awareness now in a way that we can lock into that path for our future, and also to serve people on the path so that we can lift other people up. And so I like that concept. Very good.
Beautifully said.
And what are some of the things that's what it was. I know that you have a fall writing retreat that is coming up very soon. Would you mind sharing some of the details about that, what people might experience, what it might entail, when it is, where it is, all of that?
Yeah, sure. So typically, my co-facilitator and I, Sunny Dawn Johnston, will do this writing retreat in the Keys. And it was originally scheduled to be in the Keys. And what we do is we start with a Friday night meet and greet, and then we have 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. And due to COVID, unfortunately, we had to make the decision to put everyone's safety in mind and cancel the retreat. But we wanted to offer something because this year in 2020, people need connection. So many of us are isolated or at home, and we really need that connection. And also, when you're writing a book, it can be a very lonely journey if you don't have a community. So what we wanted to do was bring together a group of aspiring authors or authors who want to write a second book. They don't have to be aspiring authors, and create a writing retreat where we'll focus on day one around book writing and developing your book idea. And then on day two, on all those things that I spoke about earlier, such as the author platform and the publishing piece and the marketing piece. And setting yourself up for so that's what we're doing. It's actually this weekend. And it's on Friday, we're actually doing a meet and greet. We are going to do a virtual meet and greet. And that's an optional add-on. But what I'm doing is I'm awarding a deluxe self-publishing package from my publishing company, Transcendent Publishing. It's a $5,000 value.
Wow.
And we're going to do a pitch party. And I created a worksheet for them to help them create a 2-minute pitch where they can come on and tell us their book idea, and we can give them professional and intuitive guidance to help further develop their ideas and some long-term goals for authorship. So we're going to start Friday night with that, and then Saturday and Sunday we have 2 full days of the virtual retreat.
So the Friday evening add-on event, which is an extra to the weekend, and you mentioned a pitch party. So that's a pretty new concept even for me, probably in the last year, but basically the attendees would bring their ideas for a book or a possible whatever project they're working on, and they would pitch that to you ladies, and then you would, from your professional experience, maybe give some guidance or considerations, things they need to maybe think of, or new perspectives on the topic to hone it in, or is that what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. And then they have a full week after the retreat ends to submit their final pitch, and that's the pitch that we'll be going through for the awarded publishing package.
Oh, that's cool.
The goal of Friday night is really to help them develop their ideas, because so many authors or aspiring authors, they get a great book idea, but they don't, maybe they don't see all the possibilities of what it could turn into, or different avenues that they could take. So we're going to offer feedback and guidance after their pitch so that they can take that guidance and use it through the weekend to work on their book.
Wow, that's fantastic. What a nice offer for someone. I know that, especially this year, that's a great offer, because this year so many people have lost jobs. They're struggling, centers are closing, and for someone to be able to focus on something that's so deep in their soul, and to be able to work with you in a way that doesn't put them in a financial burden, but it's a blessing, that's a nice offer for attendees to this event. So this will be for one winner, correct?
One winner will get the self-publishing package, and that will include everything from editing to cover design to formatting to the launch to Amazon bestseller. So the done for you package will be for one winner, but everyone who attends will get that feedback and guidance from Sunny and myself.
Oh, that's fantastic. And will there be exercises, like programs where you help them go through the mindset? Because I know when I first started writing my book, I'm academically, I have college degrees, but I was so overwhelmed. And I didn't believe in myself. And then I also found myself being a little fearful of what have I committed myself to? And so I wonder if there are programs, exercises that you build in to kind of help teach them how to get beyond those blocks and obstacles.
Yes, absolutely. So that's why I actually started author coaching, because I was working with authors, and I started to notice a pattern that so many fears come up through the book writing process, or blocks, hesitations, and it really, there are processes to get you through it, but it's not something that you can just overlook. It's something that has to be dealt with. Or sometimes an author will just backshelf their book, and that's why there are so many unfinished manuscripts in the world.
I have a few right back 12 feet that away in a closet.
Yes. So
ideas. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I found that when I started working with authors to move past some of those insecurities and fears that come up through the book writing process, because many people who are called to write a book aren't necessarily trained writers. They are someone who just feels strongly that they have a message to share with the world. And that's okay. You don't have to be a trained writer to write a book. But that does bring up a lot with the ego and the insecurities and the fears. So yeah, we have a process to break it down step by step, to walk them through the process. And then we have special guests coming in to do guided meditations to move you through blocks. We have a yoga instructor starting the day with gentle yoga so that you can unlock that creativity. So it's going to be a writing retreat that incorporates mind, body, and spirit, as you said earlier.
I love that. That's great. Good. Well, definitely, I think that's going to help because it's just going to, I think it will be so inviting. And I think it will empower a lot of people, the attendees, to really, we have the next couple of months, our holiday months. And so and yes, it will be busy, but it's a great time to prepare for the new year. So this is the perfect time for a retreat because we're entering the time period of Thanksgiving, which is a time of giving thanks for our life stories and the people around us. But also as we move into the new light of Christmas season, which is a new understanding, a higher resonance of thinking, a new perspective on life, that it pushes us right into the new year with resolutions. So all of this it couldn't be more perfect because we literally are focusing on gratitude right now this month. We're focusing next month on just kindness. I'm always all about, let's start a kindness revolution because I'm tired of the opposite in this country. We need kindness in this country. And Christmas is all about giving and joy and happiness. And then the new year comes in and it's like, all right, start writing. Time to write the resolutions. So this is really, it's going to be a great experience this weekend. I look forward to seeing the success. It's going to be quite a weekend. And the people, I know that from what I know of your past ones, people seem to really, there was transformation. I read some things about people's lives were dramatically shifted because of the program. They just the way they saw themselves even. And I know when I'm probably 60, 90 days out from writing my book, and it's finally done. There's some little tweaks that have to get done before it's made public. But what I noticed was the book was not so much about my message as it was about healing me. Yeah. And I didn't expect that it was going to be a therapeutic session where I would have some very tearful-eyed days. I wasn't ready to share some of my stories, and I was called out by some of my book reviewers that I was hiding things, and I realized, you know what, I'm being a hypocrite. And if I'm asking people to stand in their truth and to walk through their valley and to have faith, then I need to go to the raw place, the dark place, and just share. That's God has given me those experiences that were not very nice, but they made me who I am, a compassionate person, a nurse. I'm very charity driven. And those really bad experiences in my life made me a beautiful person. Probably if I didn't have them, I'd be egotistical and immature. So I always say thank you for the difficult road. And it reminds me of Native American proverbs, actually, the little sayings, where you don't pray for an easy life. You pray for a difficult life. And well, you pray for the strength to overcome the obstacles in your life. That's how you pray. And I like that.
Yeah, I love that. And it's true because so many people are called to write a book. And I often, as the writing coach and the publisher, I can watch from the outside. And what I see is they had some healing to do, maybe.
Yes. Right.
And I always say writing a book is a journey of self-discovery, but it's also a healing and cathartic journey. And sometimes authors will get into writing their book and they'll say, I don't want to go back there. It's too painful. And I say, whenever it's too painful, that's usually a good indication of where you need to go next, because there's still some healing that needs to be done there.
Wow. How did you ever even become an author or really a book publishing author? A book publishing coach, sorry.
Yeah, well, I was publishing first and just working with so many first-time authors, and I realized there was so much that comes up through the book writing process. And then again, when it's time to launch the book to the world that and being seen. And so I found I was doing a lot of coaching, and then I also found that I wanted to do more educating to authors, even authors who don't want to work with me one-on-one. I wanted them to know, okay, if you're going to go it alone, this is how you do it right the first time so that you don't have to make mistakes that you don't even know you're making as an author. So I
Yes.
started creating online programs and coaching programs. I have, I think, 16 online courses now,
Oh my gosh.
writers and authors. So I really love to teach and educate authors.
Mhm.
And so that evolved into working one-on-one with authors who wanted a little extra help to get through the book writing process.
Wow, that's incredible. I love that. And then, so from that came your publishing house, or that was there before? I'm
That
sorry.
was there before. Yeah.
Okay. And so, in what is the process like for you to, I guess for you and the clients to reach the best-selling status? Is there a advertising plan, or is it a way that you write the book that somehow gets somebody's attention somewhere? And how do you become a bestseller?
Well, the first thing is, of course, you want to publish a high quality book. So that means not skimping on things like professional editing or high quality cover design. So you want to have all those pieces in place that make your book of high quality. But then it's doing your research on the proper keywords, because Amazon's essentially a big search engine. So the same way we add SEO and keywords to our website, we want to do that to our Amazon listing.
Mhm.
So then we optimize the Amazon listing for ranking purposes. And then also coaching the author through creating a book launch team and having that team behind them that helps them spread their message to the world and get those reviews on their book. And
That's
while the author's doing that, then I drive some paid advertising to the book to help it get to the numbers that it needs to hit the bestseller status.
That's fantastic. Wow. So definitely it's all about systemizing, a little bit of optimization, learning to ask our friends to step up and support our journey,
Yeah.
and building that team. I like that. I think that's a great idea. Wow. And it's doable. I mean, they have you to hold your hand and to guide them. And I think that's what people need most of all. They don't believe in themselves, and they're coming to you for coaching and guidance and advice and professional representation, but they need somebody at their side. And I found that in my own ministry as a minister and as a leader in the community, a board member, a lot of people wouldn't do what I could see they were capable of unless I held their hand or stood beside them. Then they would do it. And so I think people just need a bit of extra help. And I think, the cost of a program or the cost of a retreat like this is we are investing in ourselves. We're investing in the potentials of a transformation in our lives and in other people's lives for our ministry, for the work that we do and who we are. So I think, any money spent to gain knowledge and to gain a helping hand or a guiding partner like yourself, it's a no-brainer, because just like college, we all invested in ourselves and our future, and we knew it would take 4 or 5 years, right? Some of us may 6 years, took a little longer. I changed majors, and my family was not too happy because it added about 3 years to my bachelor's degree. But we're investing in ourselves. And so these weekends, or even these coaching programs and online programs that you offer, these are a way of investing for the future you and your future community that you'll be serving. So I think that's brilliant.
Thank you.
Shanda, I saw something the other day on an Amazon profile. I was looking up actually a book on yoga, but somebody had created a beautiful video. I think it's called a trailer or an ad or something. It promoted the author and the book in a gorgeous, like almost like a cinematic way. What are those? Are they necessary, or is that more for the famous people, bigger people, or could it help us little people like the brand new book writers? What do you think about those?
Sure. Well, yeah. So were you looking at a book trailer or was it more of a trailer for the author?
It was for the book. It,
Mhm.
it showed the author inside the video, and it just seemed kind of movie-like. It was cinematic with some beautiful music. You could hear a little bit of narration of the some of the words from the book in the author's voice, and then it talked about the author's expertise. And so I think that's called a book trailer, but I'm not 100% sure.
Probably the author's book trailer. When authors have a larger budget where they can invest in some things like that, they're nice, especially if you have a YouTube presence. So if you already have some followers on YouTube or you have ways to drive traffic to your YouTube channel, then having a book trailer might be a nice idea for you. But for authors that might not have the extra budget to invest in that, then I don't know that it's absolutely necessary, but they are nice.
Okay, wonderful. I was curious. I had seen that, and I'd not really done any research into it, but I thought it was beautiful. It was an interesting concept. I wanted to pick your brain on it today. Good. And I'm curious about, let's see, I noticed especially on one of your marketing pieces for yourself and the work that you do, you had someone titled like a client relations manager.
Mhm.
Why do authors need somebody like that to help them, or how does having an agency represent you help?
Well, if you are looking for media appearances, then working with someone that is going to do that legwork
Mhm.
uh, and maybe has the connections, that would be a good reason. If you want to do podcast interviews, get featured by the local media, or maybe some of the bigger publications, then that would be a good time to bring in someone like that.
That's interesting. I wondered. Let me ask you a question. What is for first-time writers? What is something you think, as a coach, they should not do when preparing to write?
Well, they may not want to, it depends on the author, but they may not want to tell their friends and family. And I know that
That's
might
fine.
sound bad at first, but the reason why is because, and unfortunately, it shouldn't even be a thing, but unfortunately it is. Sometimes it's those closest to us that
Yes.
we set out to accomplish something and we set out to follow our dreams. It might not even be so much about us, but sometimes we get a little pushback from those closest to us. And that can stop a first time author or anybody in their tracks when somebody whose opinion holds a lot of weight for you, like a loved one or a spouse or a parent or a sibling. That can really stop an author in a track and in their tracks. And I've seen it kill some dreams.
I know you said it very nice. I was just thinking my mom used to say, "You better not pop my balloon." And and I've seen that happen. I've seen, unfortunately, teachers at events many years ago, and some precious little person was trying to say they'd loved or wanted to do something, and the teacher didn't think it was a very good idea and popped her balloon, and you could just see the life drain out of her. Her dream disappeared. And I thought, that poor lady. And you know, so when it's really true, I noticed that exact phenomena when I started sharing my book concepts with friends a few months ago, and a couple of coworkers even. Uh, I got some eye rolls, and then I had people tell me, "No, I think you should write on this." And I thought, really, it's my book, it's not your book.
Yes.
And and then I got myself into a bit of a corner because asked, I think I sent out to about 10 people thinking I would only get two or three. And a lot of people, most of the people said, "Oh, we'd love to read your book and give you our opinion." Well, then they wanted to rewrite the book. So they began rewriting for me. And then everybody had opinions. Became so overwhelmed because I had opened a floodgate of opinions. And I really should have just gone with an editor or my coach and asked and paid them to spend time with me to really focus on my outline and my chapters and my concepts, because I became very deflated very quick. I became a bit hurt because my idea was being stepped on and changed, and this was from my spirit. So I can see how other people's opinions can really either uplift you or they can pull you down or distract you.
Yes, and that's why I like to have writing groups and events like this where you can team up with other people that are going through the same journey as you so that you can have peers that you can maybe exchange ideas and your work with instead of having to go out to friends and family and ask, hey, can you read my book and give me some feedback? Because unless they're your target audience, their
Yep.
feedback might not even be the constructive criticism that you need anyway.
Wow. No, that's so true. I can just see like a mastermind where people get together and kind of pitch their book ideas to each other and outline it out loud and then have people give suggestions based on experiences, I guess. Interesting. Huh. And how do you, you know what, let me just go to the chat room. I want to make sure, hi, Miss Amy. Do you have a question, Amy? I can see you at the top of the list. Does anybody have a question for Miss Trofe and Mrs. Trofe, sorry, and about the book writing process or about a problem you're facing in your own writing, or maybe you're still in the journaling phase and you're putting your inspired thoughts or your spiritually guided thoughts down, but you don't really know how to begin taking it to the next level. How do we open the door to look at hiring somebody to help us publish a book? What are we getting ourselves into? Those were my fears. If I call this lady, some lady who's a book coach, how much is she going to charge me? And I don't even want to open that door. But that's because I was tripping over the pennies to get to the dollars, which is the dollars is the finished work of my book being published. So I realized pretty quickly my goal is to produce a book that serves the public, but also builds my business and helps me build programs. And I had to really start rethinking how I approached people, money, the process, and it can be daunting. I definitely experienced that myself. Interesting. Okay, let's see. Amy, did you have? Oh, Amy says everyone definitely has an opinion, don't they? Right? I love that. And let me just switch over to one of our other channels real quick. If you all will just be patient with me.
Sure.
All right, where did it go? Come on, little. Well, it's not opening, but that's okay. As I check on, we have our YouTubers also, you guys. Welcome. Good to see you guys. And what is the question you all have for us today? Pardon me. Well, I wanted to ask you this, Shanda, because this was something that, oh, that's right. I wanted to ask you about building spirituality into either your coaching programs or your business as a publisher. How do you like to bring spirit across, or how do you incorporate that higher self or the law of attraction into your programs and what you do?
Well, so much of what I do incorporates my spirituality and my training and my background, being a mind body spirit practitioner and an angel therapy practitioner. And people ask me, well, how does that incorporate into book publishing?
Beautifully, right?
Yeah, but it really does, because I can intuitively guide my clients. I can see oftentimes their book cover,
Oh,
and I'll get a flash of their book cover, and I just know, and then I can help them see that vision. I can really capture their vision for their interior of their book. So when it comes to creating the book, I can use my intuition, but when it comes to working with them through the book writing process, I can pull out of all those tools out of my toolbox and help them work through those fears and blocks that tend to arise. So I really use it in my author coaching the most.
well, you're definitely an angel practitioner, because that was my next question. So you're already tuned in, tapped in, turned on, as they say. And well, and that was what I wanted to ask you was, is there something you could share with the audience about maybe how you work with people, or what kind of a process they can implement that to help them get through the writing block? Because we've all had it. I've had it. And just even trying to write one chapter for a new, I don't know, a new workshop I want to do coming up in a few months. How do you tap into that source of inspiration, overcome blocks?
So if we just sit down at a computer screen, it can be pretty intimidating to see a blank page. I need an entire ritual before I start writing. So I like to set aside some time and set an intention, maybe light a candle. I call in my angels and guides and I do a little meditation. And I meditate on and visualize how I want my writing session to go. And then through meditation, you get ideas. So by the time you're done with that, you're excited to begin writing, as opposed to just sitting down at the computer and looking at that blank screen and saying, okay, now you have to start writing. Where do I begin? So for me, it always starts with calling in my angels and guides, doing a little prayer and intention and a little meditation and visualization.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's sounds very doable. And I think you hit on something. You said a ritual. You know, these types of raising our spiritual vibration, if it's something we do sporadically and not regularly, then I think it might be a challenge for some people. But if we just spend even a couple of minutes every day to just closing our eyes, stepping away from all of this electronics in our life, the cell phones we have, the earbuds, they have glasses with internet feeds in them now, and you know, all of this connectedness, and just be out in nature in a chair under a tree next to flowers, feet on the earth, feet in the water. And if we just do a little something every day, I think, I know for myself, my intuitiveness and my connection, it just seems, I'm going to say it flows easier. That's the best way to describe it. And when it's been, say, a month or two, if I don't meditate, which I haven't done that in years, meaning not meditate, I meditate all the time. But when I didn't meditate regularly, it was I got lost in my head. I overthought things. I was blocked. I got frustrated. And so I think ritual is important in our lives. And if we can build a little ritual around preparing ourselves every day to open in gratitude, and maybe to call in the angels, or to call in even your loved ones who have gone on. Maybe you had a professor or a teacher that was a loved one who went on into the higher realms. Ask them to come and inspire you, to come sit with you in your ritual and your meditation, and to help you open the doors to new concepts and what you need to write about. And I know they'll come. I've seen evidence that whoever we think of in spirit, whoever we light candles for, and whoever we pray to, or that we just love, like the romantic image of Jesus or Mother Mary, Mother Teresa, Gandhi, whoever you are just drawn to. And it's not that we're worshiping them. We're just so grateful. We love the image and the message that they had when they were on earth. We draw those people to us. And by thinking of your loved ones, you draw your loved ones in spirit to you, and they are there to help you in such a strong and powerful way. So that's a great idea. I'm glad you brought up rituals, because a lot of times I see people, they don't build spirituality into their life or their daily practices. And I think we can take it into the workplace, and we can take it into our side hustles, the book writing and the business building. And I think we can benefit from that. So I know we can. So
An enjoyable process. And now we look forward to the book writing process, instead of, oh, I need to work on my book today. Now it's, oh, I get to have my
no, I know. Oh my gosh. Wow. I think those are really good concepts. I wanted to ask you another question that I saw that popped up in one of the feeds was about as newbies, how do they write? How do they even begin to write an outline? So if you could talk about maybe some things that work for you on how do you write a book? I'm going to tell you my nightmare story. My last book that's still on the shelf, I thought I had to write 15 chapters on each with a different topic. My coach said, Kevin, you literally have 15 books here.
yes.
No, we're not doing that. And I'm like, what? But that's how you do it, isn't it? And she goes, no. She goes, this isn't academia, and we're not writing that kind of stuff. And I popped my balloon. I had to start all over.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. So tell us, how do we do that as newbies?
Well, if you sit down to write an outline, that can be very intimidating as well, because it takes you back to like high school English class, the thought of writing an outline. So what I normally will recommend and what I do for myself is to start, like I said, with opening up, setting the intention that all the ideas that are meant to benefit my readers come to me and through me with grace and ease. And I sit down and I do a brainstorming session first. And I recommend that to anybody who wants to write a book, but maybe doesn't know where to get started, or maybe even what all they're going to include in their book. And put your main topic, your premise, in the middle of the page, and then just start writing any and all ideas that come to you. And don't second guess yourself. Just write everything that comes up, because after that brainstorming session or that brain dump session, you can look at it and you can start to see how you could combine ideas that could create chapters. Or if you're writing fiction, you might see plots start to develop or characters begin to take form. So I always recommend start with the brainstorming session, and then take your findings from your brainstorming session and create a loose outline, and know that it doesn't have to be followed to a T. Be open to allowing the book to take you on a journey. It will write itself if you get out of the way. And so be open to where it takes you, but having a loose outline before you begin helps you organize your ideas. And I often find the ones who seem to get blocked are the ones that didn't take time to prepare a little bit before they started writing. So they might somebody might say, oh, I'm going to write a book, and they're all gung-ho and they write maybe 3 chapters, and all of a sudden they hit a wall. And it's usually because they didn't take the time to prepare and do the brainstorming session and create a loose outline. So the better you could prepare before you start writing, the less likely you'll be to come up against a wall when you get midway through your book.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. You mentioned, I like the concept of brainstorming. What about, because this is me, I'm definitely type A. I overthink things. My mind's always racing. And if I were to brainstorm, I'm thinking back a couple of years ago when I was getting ready to start this process. I literally said to myself, well, I read all the books over here in my library on all these amazing topics. What could I speak about? And I found myself being a bit overwhelmed with even the brainstorming process, because I thought, well, I love spiritual healing. I love spirit communication, angels. I love strange mystical experiences and artifacts, and I just loved all. And I even thought about business stuff. Teaching people, how do you start a church and turn it into a business and serve your community and be vibrant. And so I thought, then I was overwhelmed with my brainstorm ideas. So I think the more I say that, it probably would be, if you would agree, it's about slowing that mind down in meditation, in your morning ritual, and just asking for higher guidance to say, well, Kevin, you came up with 100 items. Now we're going to guide you to one of them. Just look at each word and let's take it in your spirit. And I can see how spirit would want me to go back through and to pick just a few.
Sure.
And do you feel that would be helpful to people who come up with too many ideas?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
When that happens, what I usually recommend is they grab a sheet of paper and just fold it in half, or put a line down the middle, and on one side write everything down that you're passionate about, all the things you can think of that you're passionate about. And you can just make that list that you're just rattling off, because those are your passions. And then on the other side, you can write down all the things that you're knowledgeable about, that you really know a lot about, that people ask you advice on, that maybe you do in your life or your business. And then if you can find a topic or two that overlap both categories, then you have a winner there, because the first book is always the hardest to write. So if you can write a book that you're both passionate on a topic that you're both passionate about and also knowledgeable in, then it will be the easiest book for you to write for your first book. And like you said earlier, you don't have to put everything in the first book, because you have all these ideas and you have all this knowledge. It doesn't have to go in one book. You're going to have many books after you get that first one out, I promise you.
Yeah, it was funny. I can still even see the face and kind of, I can even feel the air disappear in the room when the book coach said, She was trying to find the right words to be nice to me. She's like, this is overload.
Yeah.
This is, and I was like, really? Really? I thought I did a good job. She goes, well, it's nicely put together, but she goes, this is no, it's too much. She said, Kevin, it's the equivalent of either feeding somebody with a teaspoon or a tractor. And your book is a tractor. I was like, oh my gosh. So it was kind of it was funny. We laughed. I was a bit embarrassed, but I didn't know any better. I literally had no clue. And I thought, okay, I'm supposed to process all these books and experiences and somehow regurgitate it in volume.
Yeah.
And it's going to help people. I'll make some side money to help my ministry, and then I'll keep going.
Yeah.
I had no clue what I was doing. And I want to encourage anyone listening, do your research, especially for things that you're going to be passionate about, where you're going to serve the public, a healing ministry, a speaking ministry. Maybe you want to run a church or start a nonprofit to serve the homeless. What are the requirements of starting small businesses, small nonprofits, small associations, creating works of art or media like this? That could be, what is copywriting? What is a trademark? These are things we have to think about, and we have to start researching. Even if our idea is profitable, viable, does the community need something like this? Does it serve a purpose? Does it serve a bigger purpose? Things like that. There's a lot that need to be considered when we go down these roads. But I want to mention, there's a lovely lady, Cindy Barberino. Good to see you and Miss Amy. Cindy said, when I daydream about my book, it always ends with being on television and being humiliated for the concepts and the truths in the story. And you know what? I've been there.
Yeah.
And I want to say this. This is what I learned. And then, Shanda, I want you to give me your perspective. How would you speak to that? So that was the valley I didn't want anybody walking into my whole life. And I'm a very private person. I didn't feel the need to air dirty laundry of me, my family, life in general. And because I'm not labeled, I don't view myself as labeled by my traumas and my challenges. And what I realized was I was fearful of what would the public think of me. I mean, I'm ordained. I went to school, big deal, got the title. It's not who I am. It's just how I serve. But I didn't want to be judged or seen less than, or people to make fun of me publicly, jeering me from the audience, or calling me out publicly in a public platform. And so I was a bit scared about that. And I was fearful that I wouldn't get jobs in healthcare because I have a healthcare background, because they will study your social media. So I was very cautious and guarded. And I realized a business colleague in my book writing program called me out and said, you're hiding something. I don't know what it is, but the way you write, you're not being 100% honest. And I can't put my finger on it, but something in my spirit tells me you're holding back. And I thought, how did she sense that? She was right. And I realized I was kind of being a hypocrite. And I was expecting people to put it all out there and to stand up in your truth and don't dim your light. And I was dimming my light. And that was my message in my book was, don't dim your light, because other people refuse to evolve. And I realized I had a little cry. Kevin had a little moment. And I realized, okay, I'm going to put my big pants on and I'm going to embrace it, walk through the valley. And I realized, you know what? The people who have a problem with me or my story or my journey, those are not my ideal clients, nor will I be serving. And I'll be respectful, but I will continue walking by. And I thought I'm going to stand in my truth and be who I am, and how my clients need me to be, the audiences. And so I can really feel for Cindy when she says, there's that little fear of being called out or being seen as less than. And it's something we have to overcome in our minds, I think. And it takes a moment. How would you answer that for Cindy when she says she wants to write a book, but she always goes back to that place of maybe humiliation? I'm not good enough. Maybe my truth is too, I don't want to share that truth. How do you speak to that?
Well, first, she's not alone because that comes up for many, many authors. But here's the thing, if you have a book that's been placed in your heart, I believe that it's been placed there for a reason and you have a higher calling. And what you've gone through to create the story or the message that you would put in that book, maybe one of the reasons you went through that was because it's meant to be shared with the world and help others on a similar path. And so we're not always going to be everybody's cup of tea. You know, when we put ourselves out there in the world, not everyone's going to resonate with our message. But what if it helps just one person who was in your shoes? Or what if it helps a whole group of people? And by sharing, being vulnerable and sharing your truth and shining your light, you're able to touch lives. And when that becomes more important to you than the fear, or not even more important to you, at some point, I believe it just outweighs the fear, but it just takes a while to get there. And it comes up for all of us, myself included. And most of my clients, especially when it comes time to launch the book, it comes back up again. So she's not alone in that. So I would just say focus on your why.
Awesome.
Why do you want to write that book? And maybe even write it down. Do a journaling session on your why. And then when you start to get that fear or those thoughts, pull that out and remember, oh yeah, this is why I want to write this book. This is who I want to help. This is why it's important to me. And let your why carry you through the fear.
That is great. The why is it sounds like it's kind of like fuel. It will empower you again.
Yes. Yeah, it
Oh,
reminds you too, when you're in the book writing process, it's one of the first things I have my clients do is write out their why in the beginning, because then, when we're a couple months in and they're having one of those bad writing days and they've forgotten why they started writing this book in the first place, I have them pull it back out and it reminds them. It kind of gets them back in the right mindset again.
wow. Wow, it's really you. This hour has been packed full of juicy nuggets. I love the golden nuggets we've been dropping. I've even learned a few things today. I appreciate that. And uh, you're so easy to talk to. This has just been a delight, and I thank you for sharing with our community. And I can see comments from some of our guests. How important it is to ask questions and ask questions above, meaning to go to that higher place and bring that forward into our whatever our project is or our challenge or situation. I like that comment in the chat room. Thank you, Cindy. And is there anything you would like to share with us? Could you tell us your website, please, and where we can find you or your coaching program, if there's a particular name for it, anything like that?
Sure. Well, my personal website, shandatrofe.com, that's where they could learn more about me. And then there's my publishing website, which is transcendentpublishing.com. And then if anybody is interested in the writing retreat this weekend, we still have some spots left. And that's going to be a great way. If you have a book that's been placed inside your heart or you're toying with the thought of writing a book, this weekend will be a great way to get started on that, develop your ideas, get support and guidance, and it's a wonderful group of people that are signed up, and they always become like a little family afterward, and they stay connected in the Facebook group, and they become lifelong friends. So it's a great way to find some connection in 2020. So if anyone's interested in that, you can go to writeinparadise.com is the name of that website, and that'll take you right to the fall virtual retreat.
Perfect. And then if you will give me I've dropped into the chat feed for all the channels, the Write in Paradise that's there. I've dropped in shandatrofe.com. What is your publishing website? I did not catch that.
It's transcendentpublishing.com.
Okay. And then pardon me for asking because I'm not a good speller. How do you spell transcendent?
TRANSCENDENT.
ENT. Publishing.com. All right. Transcendent Publishing. Perfect. But anyway, we can track you down also because you guys, if I'll go back to this video after we close the hour out, I'll make sure that we've got all of our links there. And you can click on any of the hyperlinks to the social media platform names for Shanda Trofe, for Sunny Dawn Johnson, for the writers this weekend's fall writing weekend, the retreat that you can be a part of. Just reach out to them. And if you have questions, you can email Shanda directly, and she'll get back to you through the website, not a problem.
Absolutely.
It's been an absolute delight. I love the topic. I love the topic of book writing and business and spiritual stuff. And I think you've created yourself a nice niche business. And I think we need more people like you and I doing these sort of things. We need more light in the world. We need people to embrace the potentials inside, to use them, to find their why, use it for the purpose, so that we can serve our neighbor and we can leave a legacy behind with all of our little clients. Now they become coaches, and then they find their students, and it just, what we teach continues. So I love that principle energetically, and I just think it's beautiful. But thank you so much, Miss Shanda, for being a part of us today, and many blessings, much success for you and Sunny for your weekend retreat. And at some point, I'm going to get to see you in person when all of this pandemic lets up. And I want to thank everyone today for being a part of our community, for your comments, your questions, and for checking in. It's good to see you all again. It's been a while. Lori Lashman, great to see you as well, my dear. And so until next time, I'm Kevin Lee, and I want to thank you for being a part of our community. Much love and much light. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.